That's a massive glass joker. To get here we had to build a deck where every card we play breaks, without running out of cards. It's finally time for a pure destruction deck. Get the glass cards in here, break them all. Sounds like a perfect job for a deck of rock cards, honestly, just smash it all up. But we have no rock cards, so the second best option is a negative blueprint followed by a normal blueprint just instantly in the first shot. Natural negative Perkeo as well, not bad. I have seen worse seeds. We hook him up with the first consumable we find, just happens to be the butt planet because cloning that gets us some initial cash, which we can spend on cool things like a showman, a cola, a golden dude, and an egg. These are all the critical pieces to setting up the best glass card build of all time. So the plan is really simple. I don't want to use Immolate or Hangman or that kind of stuff. I want to play cards and break them that way. Everything else is illegal. And I would like to avoid getting arrested by Legendary Jimbo if I can. More colas make everything better, so this is my new addiction now. Look for as many colas as possible. Do something wacky with tags, which basically always leads to more problems and not much of a gain. So exactly the kind of stuff I want. But more importantly, we completely ignore a disco guy and we finally find the glass joker, the chosen blessed boy, what we need, and a tarot card to make our very first glass card. And just 2 more blueprints in the same ante because you can never have enough of those dudes. And this is one of those, the rich get richer. I could not have found these 2 blueprints if I didn't have my first 2 blueprints and our negative legendary to print all the cash. So you all know what the problem is going to be here. When we want to break glass cards, not a single one of them will break unless we find a way to encourage them to explode. And the showman I threw away 5 seconds ago is back, but it's not your time. Stay in the shop. We already have 4 blueprints. What could we possibly ever need the showman for again? He has done his part. And sadly I think we have to bring one of the least reliable jokers I know, Sixth Sense, with his very special extra eye up to no good right in the middle of his forehead. Why have an extra eye? Why could we not just install a blueprint in his forehead instead? But we need this guy because if we want to break as many glass cards as possible, the absolutely hardest thing will be card production. So we have to squeeze this guy for every single spectral card he has. Specifically we need a cryptid, and if we don't get one, we banish him to poker hell. And the glass cards keep surviving, so we are 8 antes in and I have not even seen the faintest trace of a single dice. The good news is that we don't need to go to an E number, we don't even need something crazy like 4 dice. 2 will do just fine. We can do a lot of cool shop juggling to get more double tags and still keep our brainstorm, but if we cannot break the cards, everything is in vain, like there's no point to this at all. So where are all the dice? Who ate every single dice in the entire shop? DNA would have been an amazing pickup, but we will come back to that one. But we need to make sure that we can use this purple brain boy at all, and we get a card where I can nuke all of my blueprints. That's not very helpful. And it's especially bad if he is the only survivor. So we are in ante 10, the glass joker has 6.25 multiplier. This is an absolutely terrible start. On the plus side we are breaking a card or 2 and I am actually prepared for the plant for once. And by prepared I mean I threw away most of my cards, but I luckily have enough death cards to make more 10s to play a hand that actually scores. We can also finally buy playing cards, so this voucher was an absolute disaster in the last attempt, but now it's amazing. We grab a cool cow, and since we still do not have a cryptid card, the best I can do is print death cards, just buy literally any card in the shop, turn it into a glass card, hope that it explodes. We might have to be slightly more strategic about this thing, but then we need access to the brain cell, and it is currently 100% laser focused on the purple brain boy. in some kind of insane attempt to telepathically rip a cryptid out of his eyeball. We have the mandatory splash, the new cool negative that I always find, some disco pants. Negative DNA, so was this worth waiting for? Surely it would have been smarter to pick up the normal DNA earlier and just switch to this now. Instead, what I have done is that I have learned exactly one thing and I have unlearned something else. Popcorn, so always the perishable negatives, because I guess it's too powerful if you just slam in 20 negatives in one go, so the game shuts that down. But we have finally, in Ante 17, found our very first dice. Now we can start doing the things. Marble Man is nice, he will produce cards for us that we can turn into glass cards. Showman, always helpful. Midas I'm not even going to touch because it will ruin literally everything, and Ancient Joker has potential to be kinda cool. Back to what I have actually sort of learned. We have a big stack of planets that we can multiply with Observatory, and I have set them up to be 4 cards and not 5, so we can play 5 card hands, nuke all of them, and then play a 4 card hand for score. So thank you for that big brain comment, way above the intellect of a caveman. But I have forgotten that score is not the goal, so if we are printing planets, what are we not printing? Death cards or cryptids, so we are not making more glass cards and we cannot boost the glass boy into the sky. So instead we just default to some kind of definition of insanity where I will mass produce 6s and slam them into the extra eyeball of Spectral Card Man until he drops the cryptid that we need. Which he just refuses to do. I've played a 6 basically every single round. But you know what's better than a weird man with 3 eyes? One more blueprint. So that was 3 out of 5 cards breaking. Not terrible, but nowhere near good enough. We do have enough ease, but that's really the only thing that's going well. And the 6 blueprints, and not just a brainstorm, but a disco brainstorm. Wow. And when we finally find the blessed chosen dice, I sell a blueprint. It's 100% not a negative blueprint, but I also lose a joker slot. So we found the dice, but I'm not allowed to pick it up. This is a do-over. New cool seed, same stupid plan. Is this seed cooler than the last one? The seed we used to bring the Wii Joker all the way to Ante 39 and however many ships he had. We shall see. The double blueprint is very cool, but also a brainstorm instantly. This might be the wildest one I've found so far. So what do we do with this ridiculously powerful start? Well, we apply our 3 retriggers to our fantastic boss with 1 multiplier. Wow. If that is the worst use of blueprints you have ever seen, you are legally required to subscribe. But after we have used the strongest start of all time for the absolute worst play of all time, we can only go up from here. Next up we create and clone some glass cards, and we stack the mailing rebate with some of the blueprints what we have so we can print some cash. So when we find the glass man, the most fragile boy on the planet, we are actually set up to use him, sort of. We are still lacking the dice. And the aura cards, the ones that I literally never find. We find one instantly after getting the Omen Globe, and we have a disco guy. What else could you possibly ask for? Nothing can go wrong now, we are unstoppable. The elusive dice has decided to bless us with its holy presence, and we get a cash card that we can just clone forever. But sometimes you have to make sacrifices that seem completely insane to get things set up the way we want them to be. So in this case, that means the dice that we hunted for 17 antes is in my deck for 1 second, then I throw him away and I get the worst dude of them all in. So the reasoning in this case may be insane, but the score basically hangs on the smiley face at this point. Unless I draw and play all the glass cards. And slightly more seriously, if we don't have the cryptid to produce infinite glass cards, what's the point of having the dice to slam the glass cards? So we bide our time for when this dude wants to print the thing that I need. Meanwhile, we set up a negative baron. And it really has to be a Baron Mime run for this setup, because we are going to print cryptids anyway, so we are going to have a lot of cards. We might as well make them kings and score off it as well. So do we really only have to juggle 2 things? Cryptids, maybe a DNA? That sounds way too simple. Aren't we juggling like 40 things normally? 16 E's, we have everything we could ever want, and we have an invisible guy to gamble with, because more gambling is pretty good. We can print a tiny amount of cash with the business card, and that's less E's, but we are breaking glass cards. The scaling can start. But is it too late to start the scaling this every single time? So Saturn is a fantastic mod, stacking the consumables, so it's actually possible to see what's going on. But if you dare to use the stacked consumables, the game explodes, and a plague of Jimbos will descend upon your brain cell and eat it all. Or you will be sent to poker hell, which is probably that exact thing anyway. Now we have one more invisible joker to gamble with, and it's going to be the showman, of course. For all the times I've thrown the showman away, when he has the chance, he clones himself. And he can clone himself all he wants. I will throw him out the first chance I get anyway, especially when we have the second dice. Now finally, 1,000 years later, we have the dice steroids that we need to take some of these cards that normally have a chance to activate, which is terrible, and force them to work and do our bidding, and now we can really get this rolling. Then we have a surprise soul, which we of course have to gamble on, and it's Canio. The thing here is that I spent a long time trying to find a seed where I could set up Glass Boy and his legendary counterpart for an ultimate destruction deck where Glass Boy scales with destroying glass cards and Canio scales with destroying face cards. But finding both of them early and a million blueprints and the stuff that we need for card production has been almost impossible. So now that he has decided to show up unannounced, it's too late even for a legendary boy that would have been perfect for this deck. So he goes to poker hell, banish everything we don't need. And the things that we do need but that are not really useful for reasons. Reserved parking is a nice trade up from a legendary boy, which we then also have to throw away instantly because DNA arrives, and that's probably the last piece that we need. We don't have anywhere near as many blueprints, but we can still make 5 cards per round, so we trade playing one hand for one hand of free 5 cards to explode.
2,000 years later.
So the glass boy is growing, but he's growing quite slowly. But with one more joker slot we can get one more blueprint in here and we can scale up more cryptids and delete more cards. Instead we find a disco stencil, which is essentially just like having one more king with the Baron. He is 100% disco and nothing else. But then suddenly Monkey Brain is taking over from Caveman and thinking this is a big brain investment strategy. We get the banana when we have 2 dice. The terrible banana has a 4 in 6 chance to rot and we can get the cool banana very soon. Another cool thing with the dice is that we have guaranteed wheels. So statistically we have a 1 in 3 chance to create a disco card every time we rip a wheel apart. I don't know about the rest of you, but there is one commenter that 100% has the disco DNA in them. But the shelf life of my jokers usually quite short, so we have traded disco DNA for a banana, then thrown the banana to gamble on a red card. But the DNA at least returns, just slightly less fancy this time. The Caveman is also back in charge, so is that an upgrade or a downgrade from the Monkey Brain? Who would be the best scientist? 2 very single-brained boys attempting to do experiments. But Rock will crush Banana into very fine paste, so we have a winner. Caveman is back in control, Banana bad, Rock superior. Then we have a bean, and I might have just fried my brain at this point, but more hand size means that we need to use less cryptids. And it also just happens to be the chosen mega fancy amazing disco bean. So fate has given us a cool bean. Can we use that to smash glass cards faster? I don't know how much longer this will last, but we have 83 cards, so I don't think I can sit with the DNA and play just a 1 card hand every round. We need to ramp up the destruction and blast all these glass cards with beans or rocks or dice or legendary nerds or whatever we have. Break all the cards. And also spend all the money to find the plant, not the plant, the other guy, the serpent, the one we can abuse to use less cryptids and live longer, to break more cards. The one single goal. But we are finally getting somewhere with the multiplier on this dude, and we still have enough ease to live and go further.
6.5 hours later.
And skipping to find the serpent gets us some amazing results in the shop as well. More vouchers is more good. This could have been better if I started breaking more cards earlier. In the end, we had more cards than hands to play. So we did play a lot of cards, because when the final glass cards shatter, the multiplier on the glass joker is 608. If you want more Balatro experiments, check out this lucky cat boosted by 2 negative dice next. Thank you for watching.